folks, how's it going? It's Game Webcam, and wow, I really have not made a video in a while, have I? So, y'all are probably asking me, where have I been for the past month? So, let me quickly explain this before I get into the video. So, earlier throughout this month, May, I've pretty much been working on cramming and doing my final exams because I was at the end of my semester and I was really just investing a lot of that time into doing those finals and all that sort of stuff. And then after I completed my finals, I took a trip to the Grand Canyon for a quick vacation trip. And then a few days after that, I experienced some sunburns on my forearms, which felt very painful and made it very hard to do everyday tasks. So that's why I really couldn't work on anything a few days after that. I could detail that a little bit more when I finish my 21 video that I am meaning to work on, but I really haven't been working on because I just haven't had the motivation to. But I also haven't been making videos because I've also been working on another side project for the past week or two, and that is in regards to a game that I am assisting developing on. It's a game called Open Hexagon. If you don't know what it is, it's an open source clone of a game called Super Hexagon. It's basically where you are a little triangle, dodging incoming walls and surviving for as long as you can. That's the basic premise of it. It's basically a minimalistic arcade game that can be quite difficult to play. But yeah, I've been working really hard on cramming updates because we're trying to get this game out of full release. We've been stuck in early access on Steam for almost a year at this point, and we're really trying our best to get the game fully released and get it out of early access to say to people that we have a fully finished game that you can play. I know this was a shameless plug to add into the video, but trust me, that's really the explanation as to why I haven't been working on a whole lot of YouTube videos. But let's get into the video now. Bopimo. I've been wanting to make a video on Bopimo for a while. I've actually announced making videos on Bopimo a while back in my video, why I don't make a whole lot of Brick Hill videos. And I wanted to make a video on Bopimo, but the problem is that Bopimo is not released yet. There is no physical client that you can currently play on at the moment. Only been able to see screenshots and pictures of the game, and we haven't been able to see any gameplay at all until today. For the first time, they have actually managed to show actual gameplay of Bopimo, and it kind of gives you a whole lot of what you're going to be expecting in terms of the game. Now, of course, I have reacted to this video myself while it was premiering, so I'm going to show a few reactions of me reacting to the clip live right now. Jesus Christ, the chat is an absolute cringe fest. That kerning is painful. So it's a rolling thing. It reminds me of like a 3D Fancy Pants feature, where the character continuously rolls and stuff, so it's like a little ball. That chat needs fixing, bro. That kerning is pain. Wow, you could really fit through small gaps, holy crap. Alright, here we go, an actual level right here. That texture quality, so good. The music is quite interesting, I will say. Oh, I realize this is on a slant. Okay, that feels a little weird. Coming 2021, hopefully. That kerning is pain, honestly. As someone who actually made a font sync myself, it's actual pain. Jumping through the windows, bro. Like, what the hell? Okay. It kind of tells you that the mechanics are a little unrefined. And they definitely need some polishing in order to, make the thing, more playable. Because, yeah, I can definitely tell there's actual bugs in the game. It's funny because they actually acknowledge the bugs in their game, but that is the premiere right there. Oh my god, poggers. Alright, so those were some of my initial reactions towards the Bopimo teaser that they had here. The teaser is called Rolling Fun. And now I'm going to be going a little bit more in depth with the teaser itself. I'm going to probably clarify some of those reactions that I've had in my initial reaction to the premiere of the teaser, but now it's time to go a little more in depth. Alright, so the first off, I did say that the kerning for this text right here is absolute pain. And what I mean by that is if you closely look at the letters right here, like, you can see that the spacing between letters R-O and O-L are completely different from the spacing between two L's and L-I and all that sort of stuff. It really is uneven spacing, and it quickly makes a font look bad really fast. That's why there is such thing as kerning, because it allows you to take little letter pairings and essentially makes it look more natural, as opposed to using just standardized spacing. Like, I'll actually show you, for example, how my font handles kerning, because I've actually made my own font recently, and I will show you how kerning is supposed to look like. Alright, so here is my font right here. The font is called Open Square. It's specifically for the game that I'm pretty much working with the original developer on, called Open Hexagon. This is the developer that I made single-handedly, but obviously I also worked with the community to get certain letters to look the way they want the letters to look. So, obviously, this is my font right here. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of you are going to be saying, wow, it's so easy to kern for your font because your font is a lot more simplistic. That's because for Open Hexagon, the font is not supposed to be rounded or complex or any of that sort of stuff. It's a square in minimally geometric font. It is meant to be a very simplistic font. But kerning is something that is of uttermost importance to make your font look good. And what I mean by that is, so this is the standard spacing that you are seeing for your letters. You can see that all the letters are evenly spaced from each other, and there's a little space right there that you make from the space bar. Okay. But let's show you some letter pairings that are going to require kerning, because those letters, if you don't apply kerning to them, are going to look unnaturally far apart from each other, and it's just going to make the font look really bad. You're going to be seeing kerning issues in the game itself, and that's not because I didn't kern the font at all. That's just because the game engine that is rendering the font just doesn't support the kerning tables that I use for the font. So it's not my fault that the game itself doesn't have kerning. It's just the fact that the engine does not support the tables that my font uses to kern certain pairings. But let's type in the letters BY, for example. So if we were to do this without kerning, it's going to be a little farther apart. But with kerning, the letters are a little bit closer to each other, but it still looks fairly natural if you compare it to, like, the normal letter pairings. An even better example is letter pairings like LY. LY is another good example of letters that need to be kerned, because if you don't kern these letters, it looks unnaturally far apart, and that is why I added kerning to this letter pair. There used to be AV, but I recently changed the letter A because I did not like how the letter A looked. There is, I think, LV as well, which does not have as much kerning as LY right here, but as you can see, there is a little bit of kerning, almost no kerning at all, but you can see how unnatural it looks, and you see this very present in Bopimo's font. If somebody in the Bopimo team is currently working on the font, please fix the kerning issues. I know this is such a nitpick, but honestly, if this is what the whole game... If this is the font that the game is going to be using, it's going to look really hideous really fast, and it's going to make your text look very unnatural, and I hate it. I know I went too far on about the font, but honestly, it seriously bothers me. It's little details like that that are important. Alright, so this is the UI right here. So up until now, we have not seen what the UI looks like for the game. This is our first time ever seeing the UI for the game. We obviously have some things that are copied from other alternative Roblox platforms, such as the chat on the top left and all that sort of stuff. But we can see there are some differences that stand out in this UI. So, of course, we have what seems to be an RPG-like system when it comes to inventory management, avatar, and all that sort of stuff. From what I'm seeing, there is a sort of leveling system. Now, this is going to be very interesting. How is leveling going to be done in Bopimo? Like, are we going to be completing, like, user-made levels or something like that to increase our experience and level up? What is the significance of levels in general? Is it just something that is completely arbitrary, or does it have an actual meaning behind it? I feel like that is something that we are only going to get to know through time. There is an inventory which I'm guessing only has 4 quick slots that you can easily press the numbers 1 through 4 in order to quick equip items. But there seems to be a little button right here which I'm imagining that you can open, and you will have an inventory full of items that you can go through. I'm imagining whether there's going to be items that you can buy off of the website, or they could be custom tools that the developer can create for their games, and they can customly script to have their own purposes, such as, I don't know, having a gun that shoots platforms or something to make sure that you can create platforms for improv parkouring and all that sort of stuff. Again, there is so much potential that could be done here with the inventory. And of course, there's some little icons right here, which I think is a build mode, some language settings, and general settings in general. Personally, I would probably just merge the language settings with the general settings in general. And the build mode is going to be interesting because it kind of allows for in-game editing, which is very nice. That's something that early Roblox used to do a whole lot. And that's actually how I managed to develop a lot of my games in the very early Roblox days. I didn't even use Roblox Studio at all. I actually used the in-game editors and in-game tools and all that sort of stuff to just sort of build my own games as I go along, rather than using the fully fledged Roblox Studio years later down the line. Again, like I said, with the rolling feature, it heavily reminds me of how Fancy Pants rolls down like certain slopes in the Fancy Pants games. I'll probably show like a little clip of it just to give a further understanding. I really like that though. It kind of shows that mobility is very versatile in this game. You can easily roll down hills or whatever. I think one of the big objectives that Bopimo is trying to accomplish here is they want to make the movement feel fluid. And I completely understand where they're coming from, because fluid movement for a sandbox platformer, I think, is something that's going to be very crucial for a sandbox platformer to take off. You really want the controls to be quite versatile and somewhat complex, so, like sort of Mario 64-ish, if you get what I'm saying. I personally don't think the particles should be appearing at all when you are in the air. I think this might be a bit of a bug or something that's unintended, because obviously you wouldn't want these particle effects to show up at all when you are in the air, so I think that's a little bug right there. Alright, so we got a little dash feature, which is reminiscent of a Mario 64 feature, also seen in Robot 64, which is pretty nice. The animations look really well done. Like, when you take a look at these animations, they just blend in so well with each other. Like, I definitely can tell that they put a lot of effort into a lot of these animations, because they blend in so well with each other. It feels so lively and fluid, and I think that's that's definitely a quality of life thing that's really gonna help the game. Okay, so in this footage right here, we are shown FreeCam footage, which is going to be interesting because it makes me wonder, are they gonna be able to give us the option to do free camming? Because for like trailers of like individual levels or something like that, that would be really awesome if we are given the option to free cam, or even be able to have limited free cam abilities as players to like give a quick look around a level or something. That would be really nice. So the free camming is very interesting, and I hope that is something that is an actual feature in the game. So, okay, so we saw for a brief second what happens if you fall off the map. So what happens when you fall off the map is you basically just a normal death. As soon as you fall off the map, you immediately lose all your health, and I'm guessing you quickly respawn. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so here we go. Now we are seeing what I'm thinking is supposed to be like a demonstrative level of Bopimo, showing, hey, this is what you can design in Bopimo. These are the this is just one of many different types of levels that you could design in Bopimo, which is going to be which is going to be very interesting. I really like the color palette and the texturing, although I will say that the texturing is a little repetitive. I don't feel like the checkerboard pattern should be applied for every single block in Bopimo. I mean, I get it's the key aesthetic for Bopimo, but I'm hoping there are more textures that we can work with than just the simple checkerboard texture. Because while it looks nice, I imagine it won't work for everything. Of course, the textures look very limited in resolution, but obviously, again, that's just a little nitpick. I don't really care all that much. I gotta give a huge note on the music. The music is incredible. I definitely think there are moments where it does feel a little slow and it feels a little stuck in there, like when it comes to like the BPM and all that sort of stuff. But the music is so unique and it's so refreshing. I really appreciate the music that is being used here. It sounds really nice. I like the music. Yeah, so the camera angle here, at first when I saw these camera angles, I was a little confused of the orientation of the player, because I was like, are they on a slope, or are they on a flat surface? Turns out that the player was on a slope, but the camera seems to be a little disorientating here, because I'm more used to like Roblox's, or alternative Roblox's, camera, where, the camera is meant to be adjusted to work with like the player with the character rotation and the character head, so that way it's always facing upright. So of course I do think that this is an interesting take on the camera movement. I will say it can be a little bit disorientating at first, so I guess this is probably something that I'll probably have to get used to once I start playing the game, but I was a little confused at first of which way the player is facing. So of course, they also show this very beginning footage right here just to show like some of the bugs that the mechanics, some of Bopimo's mechanics bring, especially with more detailed parts, such as like a little tiny parts such as this tilted pillow here, or this chair, or this little confined space that's in the corner that he gets stuck in right here. As you can see, I think that's an that's a glitch that they intended to keep in just to show you, hey, everything is still not fully polished. There's definitely going to be some things that we still need to work on to try and fix and polish just to make sure that we can get it in full working quality. So, of course, I like how they threw that in there. That's just to throw, like, a little bit of humor into the teaser, and I kind of find that a little funny. But speaking of bugs, there's another bug that really annoys me, and that has to do with the chat bubbles right here. So as you can notice, the chat bubbles right here, the text is not centered at all, and it's not scaled appropriately, and this immediately set me off in the first reactions. I said it was kerning, but this has absolutely nothing to do with kerning whatsoever. But the sizing, the padding is all off for these chat bubbles. And I'm hoping this is something that they could just quickly fix right off the bat, because the chat bubbles do not look good. And my god, that is horrifying to look at. So hopefully they could just quickly fix this. I imagine it's not too hard to fix. Yeah, I think they're really overusing the particle effects here. Like, I feel like you don't need to show, like, these, smoke particles every time, like, you even take a little footstep. Like, I think that's a little much. Like, I get it, you like the particle system, and it looks really nice. I think it's just a little bit overused. Maybe, like, I don't know. Like, not show particles, or maybe put some variety in the particle effects. Oh, I think that's another bug right there with the chat bubbles. As you can see, like, their chat bubble is, like, all the way down there. That's another bug right there that I think is with the client. So they definitely need to fix that because, wow, that chat bubble is so far off from the actual character model. It's crazy. I think that's all there really is to show in terms of the gameplay and what we got to see from the Bopimo teaser. My overall thoughts on Bopimo so far, this is probably going to change over time as the game gets more progress in development and releases. My overall thoughts on Bopimo, it's a very interesting take on platforming, and I would love to see the sandboxing capabilities that you could do with this game. Now, of course, I've consulted with Firecat himself, and obviously, he doesn't like to consider his game a Roblox clone, which I'm going to stop calling these games in general. I need to stop calling these games in general Roblox clones, because even though they may or may not be Roblox clones, there's always going to be somebody who gets really triggered whenever I call their precious favorite Alt-Roblox game a Roblox clone, because it really upsets them that they think it's cloned and not inspired or something like that. So from now on, I'm going to be calling these genres of games Alt-Roblox, because I think that's a much more fitting name for these sorts of games, because you cannot lie, these are definitely alternatives to Roblox. Now, of course, Bopimo does not like to proclaim itself as associated with Roblox in any way, but obviously there is sandboxing capabilities, and it has cartoonish models similar to Roblox in the old days. Of course, it's not Lego, that's for sure, but it's definitely simplistic and cartoonish. But obviously, it just has a specialty in platforming, and I don't see what's wrong with calling yourself an Alt-Roblox platform for platforming. I don't see the problem with that at all. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what this game can accomplish. I definitely think that this could possibly be a standalone game that definitely will have its little niche. And that brings me to probably what is the biggest problem with Bopimo. Bopimo's biggest problem right now is hype. Bopimo is such an early state that we only just recently got video footage of gameplay for the first time. But even before we were shown this video today, Bopimo started to acquire a huge cult following behind it. And it is really concerning when you are already gathering a cult following for a product that is not tangible. That is something that you cannot currently have in your hands and play at the moment. And with the way that Bopimo is being hyped up and being seen as this all and true mighty game, it does put Bopimo on really high expectations, and I have a feeling that this is not going to be doing good for Bopimo, because we see this all the time with AAA games that tend to invest a little too much into marketing and don't really show much of the gameplay, or just wait too long before actually releasing the game. From what I'm seeing, a lot of people are hyping up this game, and I don't want to see it suffer a bad launch because it didn't live up to people's expectations. But I'm honestly looking forward to seeing what Bopimo has to offer. We'll probably be seeing more teasers showcasing a lot more features of what Bopimo has to offer. And when those teasers release, I will be glad to be making videos reacting and sort of breaking down those teasers a little bit, just like I did with this one. Alright, so I'm going to be working with some other alternative Roblox content. Hopefully get that 21 video out and also probably get a row view out if possible. And I'm also going to be cramming to try and get the game that I've been working on for the past week or two. Try and get that game fully out on Steam. There's so much to do. Oh my goodness. But yeah, that's all I have to say. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified for any future uploads that I make on this channel. That's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.